Hi yogis, I'm Cori. Just filming a quick video today to talk to yogis who might have been practicing for a while and have gotten to the point where they're looking to deepen their practice and might be considering doing a yoga teacher training. I think one of the most important things to consider when you're thinking about taking on a yoga teacher training, a 200-hour, is why you want to take that training. Because you'd be surprised, people take the training for all different reasons. Some just want to deepen their understanding of yoga. Some want to start building a career as a teacher. So think about your reasoning. Are you new to yoga and you just want to understand the roots of the practice a little bit more because people do it for that reason and that's completely fine? Or do you want to take it a little bit further and actually teach classes, maybe start your own yoga business? Anything like that. So think about your reasoning behind it and know that people are coming from all different places. So even if you don't ever want to teach, you probably won't be the only one in your class or your teacher training program who feels that way. Another thing to consider is your experience with yoga. Are you coming in after a year, kind of new to the practice, and you just want to understand a little bit deeper the roots of what you're learning all about? Or maybe you've been practicing for 10 years and you feel completely ready, you know all the Sanskrit names of the poses, and you could basically teach a class on your own, you think, right now. So think about your experience. When I came to my yoga teacher training, I had been practicing yoga pretty much every day or almost every day for about 5 to 6 years. I found that it gave me a big advantage because I already knew the terms for the poses. I knew a lot of the cues already that my instructors were telling me, and everything that I learned on top of that, I found it to give me a really enriching and deep understanding in areas that I hadn't studied. So instead of floundering and memorizing flashcards, which I had to do a little bit, I had more time to expand my knowledge of the chakra system and the Bhagavad Gita, like the Hindu teachings behind yoga. So think about how much knowledge you have as your base. I would recommend, and most teacher training programs recommend, having at least 2 years where you've been practicing yoga regularly, so you're familiar with the basic concepts. And I think having that baseline will give you a lot more room to grow and save you a lot of time from feeling overwhelmed and having to study so many extra hours along the way. Another thing to consider is how much time you have available to you, because teacher trainings can be a lot of work. Most of them are called a 200-hour program. You'll have classroom hours where you meet in the studio a few times a week, sometimes 2 or 3, I think in most of the programs I've seen, but it depends if you're doing like a concentrated program where it's a month long or you're expanding your program over a couple of months. So you'll have those classroom hours where you're practicing yoga with your class, your teacher training group. You're doing some physical practice, some note-taking and lecturing. A lot of times you'll have really cool guest teachers coming in to explain different concepts in yoga. And then consider the hours that you're working on this on your own. You will need to study. Sometimes you'll have take-home tests or essays. You'll have a lot of required reading material on the side. And it's usually enjoyable and interesting, but it does take your time. On top of all of that, you'll also be expected to practice most days, if not every day, on top of your teaching. So that means coming to the studio outside of those teacher training classroom hours and developing your own practice. So think about what's going on in your life at the time, find a time that's good for you and that'll work into your schedule, but know that it is going to be a lot of work during that time that you're doing the training. So after you've considered your experience with yoga, where your practice is currently at, and if you have the time to take on a teacher training program, I think that if it's something calling to you from deep inside your heart and your soul is urging you to gain a deeper understanding of yoga, then it's probably a good idea for you to take it on. So consider those things, look at different teacher training programs, do your research, and I wish you good luck. Namaste.